her second book, she added the 10th hint. I'm sorry, it's Chemo Brain. Radical Hope. She added the 10th. Everybody says that. I don't even know if it's true. It's either my age or it doesn't really. Chemo Brain really does exist. I don't know.
I know, it's funny. My friend,
is that really true?
My friend sent me a text. She gave me the wrong zip code like once or twice, and she was like, "Oh, sorry, it's Chemo Brain." I'm like, "But is it really?"
Is it really? Yeah.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt.
Chemo. It's at the end of the day, so it's like I'm sharper in the morning.
That's all right. It's all good. Me too.
Right. Yeah, so-called Chemo Brain.
Have a podcast episode about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, are those punching gloves, like boxing gloves on your
Yes,
shirt?
this is my own design.
Oh,
yeah.
That's never surrender. Oh, that's neat. Did you design that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
cool. I
like
it.
I designed a bunch of shirts.
Oh, awesome. I do kickboxing.
Oh, so, that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't use gloves that look like that. They have the openings here.
Yeah. The MMA, right? So the end of the fingers stick out, right? And they're just padded here. Yeah. Cool.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
You gotta keep moving. Let's keep moving. Let's go. Don't quit till you got nothing left.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears.
Because you'll have bad times, but that'll always wake you up to the good stuff you weren't paying attention to.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
From the Cancer Sucks Studios, you just tuned in to Life Lessons in Cancer Hope with Coach Steve. Listen, cancer ain't got nothing on me. Introducing an outstanding podcast where we discuss relatable life lessons, ambition, motivation, and perseverance. Welcome back to another episode.
All right, what's up, everybody? We have Bailey O'Brien here today. She's been on Radical Hope, telling her story in Kelly Turner's PhD, her book. And we've got her here today on our show. This has been, awesome having the opportunity for her to tell us the story. So thank you so much for taking your time and taking your time to be here with us today. That's awesome.
My pleasure, Stephen. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so if anybody that's read or listened to the Audible book by Kelly Turner, PhD, Radical Hope, one of the stories, Bailey is featured in it. So definitely got to check that out. All right. So what I wanted to ask you was to start off with, what was life right before you got diagnosed? Probably about a 6-month time frame, even before any kind of symptoms. What was going on in your regular daily life?
Yeah, it was quite a whirlwind for me. It was and very overwhelming. So my diagnosis was like the end of November, early December 2007. And so I was in my first semester of college. And in early September is when I moved to college from, I was going to college in Boston. I was from New York, like an hour north of New York City. So about 3.5, 4 hours away. It was just so far out of my element and my comfort zone. I just really struggled a lot. I had no peace ever. I struggled academically. I struggled socially, didn't feel like I fit in, and I struggled athletically. It was like crazy. I got to I had a partial scholarship. I was awarded a partial scholarship, and I knew I did not deserve it. I was not that good, and I was surrounded by people who were so confident, and nothing really seemed to faze them the way that it did for me. So very stressful, very emotional. I cried every day until I started dating this guy in November. So that was at least 2 months into this whole process. And I think that had, a large part to do with why I developed cancer. And I was a sailing camp counselor in the summer for a couple of years, but, maybe 2 or 3 weeks out of the summer, I did that. So I did get, a decent amount of sun exposure and very fair skinned, easily burned. So I'm sure that had something to do with it as well. the damage to my skin plus the stress. And then, I was dealing with it with food, constantly going to the dining hall and, like stuffing my face and eating foods that were not healthy, organic, unprocessed. French fries, like I drank 3 cups of, conventional milk every day. And, I had whatever meat or whatever.
Yeah.
Pizza, ice cream, you name it.
A lot of college kids,
Yeah. So
I ate bad too.
Yeah. I gained a little bit of muscle, but definitely at least the freshman 15 plus. So.
All right. Yeah. And then, tell us from there, your first, symptom or your first, what was the change,
Yeah, I had a mole or like it was a dark freckle right on my right temple. And there's a little pink bump kind of overlapping it. And I thought it was a pimple. So I tried to pop it, but it would just bleed. And I showed my mom at the end of Thanksgiving break. And, she had we were on, the road to my dorm. And she wanted me to go home right then and there. But I said, I have school and sports, so I have to be here. So I went home the following weekend and had it removed and biopsied. And that's when they discovered it was not conclusively melanoma, but they're going to treat it like it was. And so I found that out when I came home for Christmas break. And that was the beginning.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. And, it looks like you had multiple consults, right? Not just one.
Yeah. So from there, I had my first oncology appointment the day after Christmas. And they told us what I'd need to do to figure out, if and where it had spread. I would need to, inject a tracer, and then possibly, do a wide excision and remove, this whole circle of skin that, they did remove. And so I had it, the tracer was injected and it went to a lymph node in front of my ear that was biopsied. It was positive for melanoma. So I had like 3 doctors at that time. First one was just like, giving some guidance. The second one was a surgeon. Third one was like the medical oncologist. And I've had like, I don't know, probably a dozen or more doctors altogether for the cancer. But
good for you. That's important. That's what I try to preach to in like a lot of these podcast episodes, because I've had multiple, surgeons, doctors, oncologists, and just try to get and each one has like more than half as a little bit of maybe we can look into this or that, and then of course you got the you always have the sinister ones that go by the statistics. So.
Yeah, or the ones that drop you as a patient when you don't follow their protocol, which happened to me as well.
Oh no, not one of those. Yeah, I don't know why they take it so personally.
Yeah, it's okay because it I still ended up fine, and you don't want to work with someone who's not on board with you. So
yeah,
gotta be agreement on both sides.
Yeah, I got a friend of mine. She's in Seattle. She's fighting colon cancer right now too, and she said one time, I actually took her quote and I put it on a meme, but she actually said something about you want an oncologist that not just treats you but fights with you or alongside of you. I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fight for your life.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like it. Most important time to have someone who's on board with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're your own advocate. Or your family. No one's going to advocate for you. As much as yourself. So that's what I try to tell a lot of people too. To try to, don't you might have a good doctor, but there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion or third opinion, and and you got to advocate yourself. There's always so much trust you can go into, because you have to take control of your own care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a registered, I don't know if you know, but I'm a registered nurse. I'm not working right now, but I've been a nurse for 24 years, I think. So, yeah, so I know how that is, how important it is seeing patients, with any illness or adversity, over the years, how important it is to advocate for yourself. So.
Absolutely. Oh, of course. That's something that it took years for me to realize and, come into. But my mom was my advocate when, the first, several years. And then, maybe 3 years into it, when a little bit into the second time or the third, because I got 3 diagnoses. That's when I realized, I did have to take control of my health, like Dr. Turner talks about in her books. And, that was really critical. And, in the Bible, it says there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. And so the more, you don't need like 30, although I do have a friend who's a PhD scientist, and her husband was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and she wanted to talk, I can't remember if it was 50 or 30, but she interviewed that many for her husband to find the one who was going to be, their top consultant for him. And he's doing great. He's his PSA has gone down, and he's changed his diet, and
that's so
doing
cool.
wonderfully.
Yeah. I mean, I've said in other podcasts too, like, even if you got to put gas in the car and drive 800 miles, like some people, are like, oh man, I'm in the middle of nowhere. They're like Midwest, where they're like hundreds of miles from like a big city, even more, right? And I'm like, it's your life, but scramble up some gas if you got to. Well, now you could do a lot of telehealth consults, but if you had to, I mean, I'd drive across the country if I had to, if I didn't have anything, as lucky I am close by here in New York, but yeah. So you guys ended up going to Mexico, is that right?
Yeah. So with the first diagnosis, I was, very, very, very like naive or uneducated about cancer. I had, we had really very little family experience with it. My dad's mother passed away from cancer when I was 2. And I think my dad's dad might have been diagnosed at some point, but in my own, like, in the years that I could remember, there, no one in my family had cancer, up to that point. So, sorry. So I was just going with what the doctors were saying to do, and trusting in their education and training, which was extensive, 12 years in medical school or, medical training or around there. So I did the standard of care. The first 2 times I had surgery. I had immunotherapy called interferon the first diagnosis. And then the second time I had surgery, it recurred my senior year. Coincidentally or not, after a stressful breakup with my boyfriend, who I dated for over 2 years. But melanoma, it's typical for melanoma to recur after about 2 years anyway. So at that time I did surgery, and then the surgeon missed the tumor by 1 millimeter. So I ended up with another surgery, and another tumor grew. So I had 2 tumors removed. Part of my ear removed because they wanted to make sure all the cancer was gone, and they did, the wide excision there as well. And then I did 1 month of radiation treatments, 6 weeks after that. And then 2 weeks after I finished radiation. Well, at that point, my oncologist said that since the melanoma had recurred already, I look back in my medical records, and I think that's really important for everyone to do, is to get a copy of all their test results and consult notes and read them over, even if you don't understand it or have a friend or someone who's, can help you think straight or is knowledgeable about medicine to read it and make sure you understand what is being said, because sometimes doctors will skip information or details, or they won't pick it up, by chance, or they may disagree with what the radiologist says in the report. So my report, the doctor's note said I had an 80% chance of recurrence within the next 3 to 5 years, and it was likely to be, life-threatening. So I thought I had 3 to 5 years to live. I thought, okay, I'm 20 years old. Don't really plan for the future, because you don't, you probably don't have one. At that point, obviously I was not, I did not have the belief or the understanding that I could change that I didn't have to be a statistic. And that's when we started doing like an integrative approach to my health. I started seeing an integrative oncologist, and she was giving me supplements, and she recommended Cancer Treatment Center of America. That turned out not to be really what I was hoping it would be. They still recommended the standard of care, and then adding on, a couple complementary things like supplements and, modifying your diet, although their cafeteria was not, what I would consider is quite health promoting.
Wow.
Which was disappointing. That was one of the reasons we went, because my integrative doctor said she used to work there, and they would have all organic food.
Yeah,
and
that's like a conflict of interest kind of, right? Like you're a cancer center, and you're not promoting, organic or hormone free. Like Sloan, because I've spent overnights there, and it's amazing. Like their menu, like everything's organic and no pesticides and hormone free meats and the antibiotic free and they got vegan and dairy free options and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, wow, it's great.
Yeah, that is really great. That's encouraging to hear, because that's you don't see that everywhere.
Yeah, no.
Typically you don't.
Nope.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we went to CTCA, and the first doctor I met there said chemo, surgery, radiation. And I said, okay, if I do all of that, I have 2 years? And she said, yeah. And I was like, okay, sorry, I'm not interested. And she was kind of like, what? Like, how dare you?
Right? Like, no, that's not what I want to hear. 2 years. No.
I've been through this already, like just about everything. And it got me here, 2 weeks later, stage 4 diagnosis. So I'm ready to do something different. And my mom's closest friend had been researching and found, these amazing stories of hope of people who beat the odds. And, they realized that they had more control or more influence over their own health than they realized. Or maybe they always knew, but more than I realized. And so, I started to understand that nutrition can have quite a powerful effect on our health. And I was studying nutrition in college too.
Oh, so wow.
It's kind of funny, I declared my major my sophomore year, but we weren't taught that, first of all, as a dietitian, you would have to be under the authority of the doctor. The doctor's orders come first, and then it's the dietitian. But, so.
And they like Kelly Turner, like Dr. Turner says in her books, right? Like they may not take any nutritional courses, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe they take like a basic one, in the
right.
In the doctor school. So it's
mm-hmm. Yeah. So my mom and her friend were researching after I got the stage 4 diagnosis, and I was just trying to not go crazy. So I was essentially hanging out with my friends a lot. And then, I get all these emails from my mom's friend, like with pages of information. And I'm like, I can't do this. So I told my mom, like, tell me what makes the most sense to you, because my mom is a really smart woman. And obviously I'm her daughter. She's not gonna mess it up, or, she was going to do everything in her power to, save. So, she had talked to an American researcher who lived, in the U.S. but worked in Mexico, and he shared a couple of treatments. One which was, a diet and detox protocol, the Gerson therapy, which involved 13 fresh vegetable juices, one every hour all day.
Wow.
Coffee, yeah, a lot.
And how many days would you have to do that? You did it for like months or
years?
Oh, wow.
I didn't do 13 for years because spoiler alert, there's a happy ending, and my cancer actually regressed very, very, very quickly.
Wow.
Like miraculously quickly. So I was able to drop down my number of juices after about I started mid-February, and by September I stopped. So 6.5 months.
Wow.
Later.
Yeah, good
went
though.
down
Good
to
for
18.
you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a therapy that a doctor in New York was using, and American Cancer Society called him a quack, and his patient records were taken and analyzed, and they never even told him what their findings were because they could find nothing wrong.
Wow.
All he did was help people. So he had
ridiculous.
some really amazing what some would call cure, people who were able to achieve remission long term. And he didn't believe it was a standalone treatment, but a complementary treatment to something like surgery or Coley's toxins, which was a treatment also used in New York and available nationwide. There were doctors around the country using it and having success. People were healing after using Coley's toxins. And the reason, it was the head bone cancer surgeon at Memorial Hospital who started using this. I mean, it was not the first time anyone had done it, but this was a time when it was most popular.
Now it's a bacteria, right? Because
I
was trying to listen to your story on the Radical Hope, and it said something about a doctor. I forgot the doctor's name, but started like in 1890s, right? And then 1920s there was another doctor that picked it up or something. I don't know. I can't remember. He had toxins.
Was it John? It might have been John Rockefeller, one of the Rockefeller sons. Oh. His girlfriend was like 18 and had sarcoma, and Dr. Coley, he did the standard protocol. He, amputated her arm, I think up to her elbow or something. And then the cancer quickly spread and she died. And he was devastated, and he started searching like all the records to find out what people had done who had gotten better. And he found, I guess it was I think he found multiple cases of people who had infections who recovered. And there's this one guy, or maybe it was only one. I have to double, look into that again. But there's a German guy who developed this skin bacteria infection, and his cancer went away. And so he hunted him down. Like he went, door to door and found the guy and found that he was real and he was healthy and alive. And so he started purposefully injecting people with the bacteria that this guy had been infected with.
Yeah.
And, and then he eventually added another bacteria to make it more effective. And then he started using dead bacteria because people were getting infections, and some of them died because of, the severity of the infection. But he had some amazing recoveries, and there's information on my there's information in multiple places, but on my website BaileyO'Brien.com you can look at the resources and bibliography by topic, and you can click on Coley's toxins, and then there's information there, and there's a chart of about 700 patients who Dr. Coley had treated. His daughter analyzed like every case, and she wrote a paper on it that was published in the 1980s in I think it was a cancer journal. So it was peer reviewed and
cool.
really amazing. She meticulously analyzed it, and she even wrote monographs, and some of the monographs were written under other scientists or doctors' names so that they would be accepted by the medical community, because nobody would have listened to this woman. She didn't have
I think I remember that part in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Nobody would take her seriously, right? Because of the time period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there were amazing, so Coley's Toxins had a 60% 5-year survival rate in inoperable melanoma and a 70% 5-year survival rate in operable melanoma. So that for me, it was like, whoa, 60%.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. It's a small population size, but still, they said, one of my doctors told my mom 7 months to live without treatment, 14 months with treatment. And she was, one of the top melanoma doctors. And I even follow her on this website called ResearchGate, which is like, if you have an education, I don't know, a university email or something, you can sign up. So I follow her on there, and she's constantly publishing like multiple papers in a week. And I'm like, how is that even humanly possible? So she's very, well researched. But I forget where I was going with that. But so Coley's Toxins, 60% 5-year survival for my type of cancer. And then the Gerson therapy also had a 39% 5-year survival rate, according to a 1995 paper on melanoma and the Gerson therapy, for stage 4 melanoma. So, combine those. Obviously, it doesn't add up to 100%. It does. 60 and 39 is 99.
Yeah, but with the fight inside you or somebody, that then you talk about, that raises that percentage. I truly believe that. Whatever percentage they do, that's if you just sit in the chair and do nothing. But you do these other factors that Dr. Turner was talking about, then your percentage goes up. I'm still fighting, but I truly believe that.
Yeah. So, the people who tend to do complementary and alternative therapies, they have, like you said, a better chance already because they're being proactive about their health, because doctors don't typically, in the conventional setting, encourage, those types of things.
Yeah. And they call it cancer fighters, cancer warriors, or stay strong for a reason. It's not because, they're strong enough to, maybe they're strong enough to get through chemo with the side effects and the meds and going to the bathroom every 2 minutes or throwing or whatever, and you're staying strong through that. But that's not what it means. It means, you're physically and mentally doing everything you can to throw at it to increase that percentage. And you're literally fighting. So it's not just relying on the doctors,
Yeah. And that for me was really important, because can I get to like the best part of the story?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
So I went to, my sister's friends had a benefit for me to raise money so I could go to Mexico. While we were researching, I took 1 round of chemo pills, so 5 pills over 5 days, because I was like, this is, uncomfortable to wait so long. We were at least 2 weeks into it and doing nothing. So, supplements, but, so I'd started some supplements, and then people encouraged me to pray. I wasn't a religious person at the time. I didn't even know if I believed that God was real or not, but I started praying, God, if you're there, please give me a miracle. And that's one of the factors, deepening your spirituality in the book, in the research. So the prayer, taking control of my health, believing I could get well, herbs and supplements, embracing social support for sure. I had lots of people coming around to support and encourage me. I always forget some of the factors. I wasn't exercising at the time, but I was an athlete, during my college career. And so I took the chemo pills, supplements, praying, and then I went to Mexico. But before I got to Mexico, I did have measurable shrinkage. I had a little nodule under my chin, and it went from like 2.5 to 2 to 1.5 centimeters before I left. And I was like, maybe human error. So I was like, not really sure, but I was like, I'm not going to go just off of, I don't know, 2 measurements over 2 weeks. So I went to Mexico, did the Gerson therapy, lots of juice, lots of coffee enemas to detox, lots of supplements. And I did Coley's toxins, maybe at that point 4 times a week or so. And I started getting fevers. The injection site was sore and swollen, and it was rough.
Sure.
I struggled through the enemas. Like, it may sound silly, but that was like
I've been hearing a lot of good. I haven't tried it yet, but and I can't knock it till you try it, kind of thing. But
yeah,
my wife and I were just talking about that earlier today. She's like, we got to look online, see if they've got stuff ready to go.
Yeah, I have an ebook
instead of trying to mix it yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, with like instructions and links to
like with a squeeze bottle instead of like the whole, bag setup. I don't know how they do it, but a squeeze bottle would be nice. Like they do, like they have the, the Fleets enema. They come in a bottle.
I find a bucket is better because
the bucket in the bag.
Yeah, rather than the bag, because the bag, it's like
no bag. Okay,
air
just
dry.
Oh yeah, that little bucket that you hang, and then it's got the tube. Yeah.
Yeah, I just put it on the side of the tub or whatever.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's like on my leg and I'm holding it there so it doesn't fall over.
I heard it's great though for detoxing, right? Is that's what it does, right? Okay.
That's the goal. It's to cleanse your liver. Cleansing the colon is a side benefit of it, but the real purpose and benefit, or the bigger one, is to cleanse your liver.
Oh, my wife just said, I got to look into it, so I apologize to the audience. I don't want to give false information, but my wife mentioned right before this that we aired this, that she got American Cancer Society announced something about a vaccine for colon cancer, and I'm like, a vaccine? Something about the protein or something. So I got to look into that more. I'm like, wow, how amazing is that if they've gone that far, where they've come in close, even if they're coming close to, here we're trying to find, cures, but to actual, to have something injected that prevents it, and especially if you have it family history. Like my genetics was negative, but my mom and my brother both had colon cancer. They both had resections, so it's crazy. So it's either like, obviously they're still testing new genes and things like that. So maybe it is genetic and they just haven't found the genes in me that's connected to my family. So I'm like, I always wonder about that. Or if it's just, I don't know, something in the water, or how you grow up, right? Like social, because they're in my family, my brother and my mom. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's both. And, if you search PubMed, there's tons of studies on nutrition and colon cancer. And, it's, the things that you do to heal from cancer, if you apply them, you don't have to obviously do it to the same degree, but for prevention, it's, exercise, rest, proper nutrition, stress management, spirituality, those things all, they help to a large degree to prevent it. So I think those are foundational. Of course, I know I struggle in various ways, and we're maybe stronger or weaker in some areas than another. But we have a lot of power to prevent it as well. And that's, hopefully, we can achieve remission and then prevent it from coming back.
Yeah.
There are studies on that too. Factors that help prevent recurrence are critical as well.
Yeah, I try to preach, and just so does Dr. Turner in her book, but like you have to, like, especially once you get rid of it, right? Once you're in remission, you can't go back to that lifestyle pre-cancer because
Definitely not.
It'll probably come back if you're
Yeah.
living the same lifestyle, the same
Yeah.
conditions, and
Yeah.
then of course Dr. Joe Dispenza with the turning on and off genes, possibly, it's and with all the research he's doing, it's great. I mean, I've read Breaking Yourself of the Habit, awesome. Supernatural, awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of recurrence, so this past summer, I know I'm not like your average person who's, because I don't know. I remember being 4 years old and dreading going to school, like dreading going to preschool. I was like, this is the end of the rest, like the beginning of the end. I'm going to go to school. No. I'm going to go to elementary school, middle school, high school, then it's college, and then you get a career, and then you get married, and then you have kids. And I was like, I don't want any of that. I don't want it. I just want to stay home with my mom and dad and my family forever. And so, going away to college was really, really hard. That was like one of the most, difficult emotion wise in my life. And then this past summer I moved out, on my own. Like, I have housemates, but I'm in a house, not with family, with people I've never met before. And I was a bit concerned that I would get cancer again. And, as far as I know, I didn't. So, I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, God. Because, I knew, like, okay, I'm so aware now. I know, like, the factors that influence our health and cancer development, and to a large degree I was practicing those things, but still, like, you don't know. And, like, stress can be so powerful.
Oh yeah. Especially if you don't have a choice, like, to get out of a certain environment, or it's just like you said, you're just, living there with your housemates, and it's just that stress, can come back, and you just have to, let it go. So,
yeah. So I did a lot of praying.
That's right.
Because life has not turned out the way or been as I expected. And, so it's been harder. And, I haven't achieved the things, at least not yet, that I thought I would, or, like, I don't know. There's only so far ahead that I could even think about. But, so it's like an ongoing, awareness and growth process. But, so that was hard, like, emotionally for me to be like, oh, wow, this is the life that I've created and I have to live it. Anyway, the factors, they're ongoing. I still juice.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah.
That you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, I still do coffee enemas from time to time because my diet is an area that I do struggle with. But I do try to have, like, good foundations of, clean water and lots of organic vegetables, trying to, like maybe 95% organic is what I eat. A lot of vegetables, trying to minimize processed foods, or, like, not having a lot of sugar.
Yeah, it's hard because it's very expensive. Cause when you buy organic and then the antibiotic-free meats, and then the cage-free eggs, I'm not vegan. I do, eggs and some. I try to take the meats down, and eat salmon and eggs, but I'll eat, turkey once in a while. But a lot of beans and homemade beans from the dried beans, not the can. But yeah, it's just stuff kind of gets expensive, or sometimes it's just hard. You can't do 100%. You just But plus, you want to enjoy a little treat once in a while. I still do. I'm not strict. Maybe one meal a week or something where I'll do, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever looks good, mac and cheese or something.
Yeah, I admire people who can do that, because for me, it's, it's hard. Like, Chris Wark, who's a stage 3C colon cancer survivor, and he's a cancer coach, or he's created a cancer coaching program called Square One, which is really, really good. He has like something similar to Dr. Turner. He has 10 modules on diet and monitoring your progress, managing stress, exercise and sleep, supplements.
Oh wow, I'll throw his info up there. So
yeah, it's his website is chrisbeatcancer.com. His name is Chris Wark, and wow, I forgot where I was going with that thought.
He does you were talking about the modules. I know.
Oh yeah,
I don't think it ever goes away.
Chemo brain. I only did 5 chemo pills, and that was over 10 years ago, coming up on 11. Wow. Yeah. So, the things to prevent recurrence, and, so I do juicing and enemas and supplements, and, making sure my vitamin D is good. Dental health is important as well for overall body health.
Especially with us living in New York, right? The vitamin D is important because now it's getting to be less sunny out there and cold, and so I gotta get back. In the summertime, I don't bother because I'm outside all the time. But I gotta restart the vitamin D. So.
Yeah, and exercise and rest and prayer. Like for me, like I remember the first morning, I think it was, when I woke up in my new place, and I just felt like tremendous like angst or just like, I don't know, like this vacuum of like despair almost. And I had this little book, it says keep calm and pray, and I just read a couple pages about prayer, and I started praying, and I never recited this before, but on those pages was like the Lord's Prayer, like, our Father in heaven, or oh my gosh, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And like I don't do like rote prayers like that, but that was something that Jesus prayed, and it immediately brought like peace and comfort to my heart. And
absolutely, yeah,
so
it's important.
Yeah, so definitely been a really important part of my remission, staying cancer free, this whole thing, the lifestyle and my faith. Like I did not, like I said before, I did not know what I believed at the time. And then after I prayed God, if you're there, please give me a miracle, it was like got the miracle, and then I was like, was that God? And started going back to church, was not finding what I was looking for there at my old church, which was probably why I never really experienced God, because he wasn't really present in those places. But I ended up going to a Bible study for athletes, and found people who were really chill and like not like trying to force anything down my throat, which was one thing that I was concerned about. They're just there to help and encourage, and they had doubts and questions too, which I found also really encouraging, because I had a friend whose mom died of lung cancer when I was getting healed. And, I was like, how could that happen? My friend was an only child, and he had already lost his dad. So I couldn't make sense of that, but I could at least try to figure out, like, I believe that my life must have purpose. Like there must be a reason why I'm here, even though she's not. And she totally deserved it, more to be here than myself. So I figured if my life had purpose, it had to come from somewhere, someone, and just gave, I was so grateful to be alive. I was ready to surrender to anything, anyone, but also, whatever was true, not surrender to a lie, something that I wanted to believe, but what was really true. I didn't want to, risk living a lie. So anyway, I figured that Jesus was a lot like my cancer treatments, because of the alternative stuff, because they were both rejected by the world. But
that's true.
For people who were had like an open heart about them, a lot of people, got better, and there I couldn't find any real information to refute Jesus's life, death, and resurrection, and his disciples' lives. They were the ones who would know if it was alive, and they died, fighting or just trying to share what they had seen and heard and believed. So I thought, well, that's pretty powerful. And so I guess I said, okay, I have to decide what I believe. And I said, okay, Jesus, I believe. And
we may not understand it, but you just have to, that's it. You just have to believe in that there's a, purpose, and there's a reason, and here you go. You're, sharing your story in Dr. Turner's book and these podcasts, and just giving people, so much hope. So, yeah.
Thank you.
That's great.
It's a gift and blessing to me, and I hope to others as well.
Yeah. Anything else you want to bring up to the audience, or anybody that's either still fighting or anybody that's in remission? Because you said 10 years, right, out of remission?
Yeah.
So, because I've heard, and I even have a friend that's beat colon cancer like 5 years ago. I think she had 5 years. And she's, she's better now, but I think she had a really hard time in early remission. Because it's almost like, and I don't know what it's like, but you know how like there's obviously like there's a 1.0 of you, and then now there's like you get cancer and you fight, and like something changes inside you,
yeah.
and for the better, and you find God, or you find your your spirituality, your faith, or follow these other 10 factors. And where am I going with this? And
right.
But but then is there a version 3.0 once you get into remission for some people? Or do they continue the 2? And a lot of times it's like you're so almost like like you were mentioning before, like the you do a little MMA, right? Or it's like
kickboxing.
It's like these kickboxers, right? If they retire, it's almost like you miss, it's almost like, not that it's probably a bad example, right? Because one's an adversity and one's a sport, but it's almost like, okay, you need that, and when you retire, it's like that's all that's all you were doing for years was fighting. So I don't know, but is there any, I'm not there yet, and it looks like you are 10 years. So what do you what's your advice to people in remission?
Yeah. Well, I would not, my lifestyle and my health regimen is certainly way toned down from what I was doing when I was healing. But when I was healing, like I needed to be 100%. I believe, we need to be aggressive about it and not, mess around, because it's our life. You don't want to risk your life,
right.
Cutting corners. And the people who do well tend to be 100%, surrendered to the process, or, pretty close to it. Of course there are exceptions, but I knew from the day that I got the news that I was in remission, that it was going to be a lifelong, battle, like you said, and, or war. I remember writing down, like, this battle is won, but the war is not over. It's the world that we live in is so far from the original goodness and purity of the soil and the air and the plants. That's just nutrition and environment wise, but there's a lot. There's even someone trying to bring us down and destroy our lives, and we have to be vigilant against it and be proactive, and just keep doing what you need to do. What you need to do, like we need to eat right and exercise and rest and manage our stress and these things. So don't give up on those, please don't, because people I've heard stories of people who let up and then they got sick again. And sometimes I feel like it's harder the second time around. I don't know if it's a mental thing or all of the above, because the mental does drive, the actions and the physical stuff. But it's not worth the risk. And I think you can kind of probably feel it out, and you can tell when your body's changing, but also be joyful about your future. And I think, one of the most important things that I think is, important to know is that you're loved. And I just try to share with as many people as I can that they're loved, and God sees them and knows them and cares about them. And in John, I was just a friend actually was telling me the story yesterday, but I know it well because it's one of my favorite passages in the Bible, is when Mary and Martha were friends of Jesus, and their brother Lazarus was sick, and they said, Jesus, like, Master, like, come, because our brother is sick. And he actually waited 3 days before going to see them, and he died in the process while Jesus was on his way over there. And he was dead, I think, 4 days before Jesus got there. And when he got there, he wept. He wept with Mary and Martha because he loved them and he loved Lazarus. But he said, the sickness is not to end in death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified by it. And he raised him from the dead, and he did heal him. But, the compassion of God, even, the verse of the day today, one of my apps, like a father has compassion on his children, so does God on his children. And like this summer was, I remember telling my friends, I said, I'm turning from God. Like, I never thought I would do this, and I never wanted to, but the way I was feeling, I was like, I don't want to go forward. And but God just showed me his amazing love. It's like, and I really couldn't believe it. It was like, wow, I've experienced it, like, even more now than ever. And so God is a God of love. Like, he's not a condemning or a harsh God. Even in our struggles, like, he's there. And if you look for him, you'll find him. It all depends on the attitude of your heart, like whether you're going to see him or not. And he promises, you'll seek me and find. He says, you'll seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. So we can't, like, hold on to other things and try to reach for God, because we have to, it's a leap of faith. We have to let go in order to, fully receive all the goodness that he has. But he's there, and he loves you. And however I can help, love to help. And
that's so touching. I've been trying to do more. I think that might be one of the books I'll read. It's coming up too. Is that Dark Night of the Soul? I've been trying to do more research on that. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Heard of that term, but it's almost like we all go through that. That darkness that that and with their soul, and the with the changes mentally, and then the breaking, and you just have to put yourself back together and stand up. And then, of course, with the faith and believe, and so I did a podcast, and one of the John Anderson, he a guest, and he said something, because I always say, what you put out in the universe, or whatever you put out in God, it's going to come back to you, right? And he always said, it's like it's the boomerang effect. You throw a boomerang in there, and it's good. If it's something bad, or a negative, it's going to slap you back in the face. So
in general, you reap what you sow.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there are times when you get grace.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And lots of gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
Thanking your faith, thanking God, and thanking the universe, and thanking family, and, just, inside you, just thinking inside you, the inner you, because it's, it's so important. It's not just saying thank you, it's like actually
Right, but
believing in that gratitude.
Yeah. I started because I was like struggling a lot. I have a friend who I jog with once a week, and I said, how about we start, like, every time we get together, let's share 10 things that we're grateful for. So we started doing that, and that's been really neat to do. It could be
So
anything.
cool.
Yeah, like all the flowers are amazing, like, in the sky and the birds, and, like, I don't know, the weather, our family, thank you that we have work, and we have each other. We have this time to exercise, and we can move our bodies. We have clean water, so there's a lot. There is a lot to be grateful for. So.
Wow. So this has been great. I just want to say, thank you for your time. Thank you for your story. You're gonna, those that are out there, they need hope, and they need story, and I do too. So it's like full circle. I'm not just doing this. I'm doing this to help me too, and help others, and you guys inspire me, and I try to inspire you guys, and like I said, I always talk about that full circle. It's so important. So, like, all those connections we're making in life. Otherwise, we wouldn't be made. We would have never met, or never would have connected. So,
yeah, absolutely. I have a like a support group online that I lead once a week, and it's really, I mean, it's people who are who have cancer, who are doing a holistic approach. And we read and study portions of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where Jesus healed people, and, like, studying, like, what was the scenario, what was going on with the person, what was Jesus doing. And I remember sharing this past spring, I was like, I had no idea how much I was going to need you guys. Like, they're so sweet and supportive, and we're all going through it together, and cancer, it's not just like you beat it once and then you're done, like, woohoo. Right. It's an ongoing journey, and we're all in it together.
Absolutely. 100%. We got this. That's that's a hashtag I try to use all the time, instead of I got this. We got it, because you never want to be in this. You're not in this alone. Nobody is. You want to embrace that love. And if you've got somebody or a friend that maybe is staying quiet, and you think, well, maybe they just don't want to be near you, it might be that they just don't know how to help you. So I think, was it Dr. Drew's book or something like that? Sometimes you just have to tell them, hey, can you take me over this appointment, or do you mind grabbing the groceries? And you're not a burden, right?
Absolutely.
They're gonna say, oh my gosh, of course, I want to help you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. We have to ask for help. We have to be willing to be helped, because we can't do it on our own. It's not possible. There's too much to do. Like, even on a like cancer-free day, like, we still need each other. And people want to help. It's a blessed, it's more blessed to give than receive. Like, I'm sure people listening, they're like, yeah, of course I'd help someone, or if I had a friend who had cancer and they needed help, I would do it. So then, like, why wouldn't someone do the same for you?
That's right.
So
wow,
great thing to end on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time again. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's been great. Oh, and there's just a plug for my friend Susie. The stage 3 thyroid cancer survivor. She started a group called Healing Strong, which provides support groups around the world who are doing like an integrative approach to healing from cancer. Her website is healingstrong.org. And for people who want, something one-on-one, or just to chat or share I'm available. I do cancer coaching, helping people navigate like the radical remission factors and square one. I'm a certified square one cancer coach. And so, you know, I know what it's like to be in the trenches of cancer. So you can reach out on my website, BaileyO'Brien.com. I'm on social media, Facebook and Instagram at BaileyO'Brien330. My email is contact@BaileyO'Brien.com. And for anyone who's, you know, maybe old school, you know, you can call me 914-262-8845. And I trust you have a good audience.
Yeah, no, that's great. Oh, that's so great. Because, you know, sometimes you got to have that energy of hearing somebody or seeing somebody, because sometimes, you know, you can't be in the same room, obviously, right? Cause,
yeah.
And so, but like you actually see, you know, the more, you know, you have, you know, here on the phone, you can feel that energy, you know, versus like texting or emailing back and forth.
Yeah.
That you get more energy if you hear or see. Yeah. So
and I think if COVID has taught me lots of things, but the importance of like connecting like in person and hugs and like, you know, being as close, you know, to in person as possible. So, because it's just, gosh, we thrive off of it, or I do.
Oh, absolutely. It's all that positivity and thrive and that energy feeling, and it's just, you know, especially, you know, they're going through the same adversity. It's like you know, feels good, and you know, so.
Oh yeah, so good.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Right, thank you so much.
Oh, you got it.
Take care, everyone. God bless.
From the Cancer Sucks Studios, that is a wrap. Check us out in future episodes of our podcast and be sure to subscribe. But before we go, just want to give a shout out to all the admirable and devoted caregivers out there. Until next time, stay strong. We got this.
Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.